So we begin. We are going to invite forward Bob and the Silver family to unveil this first marker in the cemetery. It takes a whole community, and so we want to invite up as many of the cousins who would like to participate. And to take this off, and you have to have a lot of vision to, if you saw this piece of property a couple of years ago, it didn't look like this. And there are, as I said, these gates will be the ornamental gates, and there will also be a different bowl, but also a bowl with stones here on this marker at the entrance for people to lay stones, as is our custom. And I want to invite the family forward to unveil this marker, and then to place the stones which you have gathered. Try not to make it too hard.
Too many strings in there.
Oh gosh. I like the silk.
That's right.
And do you want to place them in here? Place them. That's okay. That's all right. That's all right. Place. And the plaque here, the Durham Hebrew Cemetery, Silver Family Annex, dedicated the 7th of Tishrei, 5776, and on September 20th, 2015. And I turned to Bob and just said, you know, do you want to say something to the community here? Let me see if this microphone is...
I got a big mouth.
Yeah, you got a big mouth? Bob has a big mouth. So.
All I really want to do is thank the Bethel community. There's 5 generations of Silvers buried here from our great-grandparents who unfortunately Jackie's 3 children. And I'll speak louder.
There you go.
Thank you. There's 5 generations of Silvers buried here from our great-grandparents to Jackie's, unfortunately, 3 children. This is a very important community to us, and I really need to thank the whole congregation, but I'd like to especially thank Rabbi Sager. Where's Rabbi Sager? Thank you, Rabbi. Rabbi Graber. Dr. Tolsky and I have become terrific friends, and without all your hard work, I don't think the Silver family would have been as involved. So thank you for keeping the connectedness to our entire family. The Clappers, and I finally got to meet Ron Bartholomew. Ron, your respect, your humility, our family truly respects all that. So thank you so much, the Bethel community. I don't know where Logan is, but we have the 6th Silver here with us. He's 10 months, and so that's terrific. And so enjoy your day, and thank you so much. Thank you.
We can give a round of applause. And we're going to come over here. Let's sing for a moment. So the Memorial Garden is a special place for a few reasons. Number one, as you can see as you walk through on the path, there are places for stones to be laid, for places to. There are places where I really do have a big mouth. There are people have the opportunity to dedicate a space where perhaps there wasn't a grave for the person, or where there is a grave but it is far away and therefore there isn't a place to visit that is so close, and yet we can dedicate and sanctify a place here in Durham to create a connection with this cemetery and with this place. Also, the obelisk and the circular garden, you know, where are 7th graders? 7th graders, can you raise your hands? There are a few of them around. Back here. Okay, back there. Okay, our 7th grade class, this is special and normal all at once, because it's normal every year they have this field trip on the date on our cemetery service to be here as a part of the community and to remember and to learn about the cemetery. And this will be a place where they can sit and have conversations and do learning together, where we can do learning together, and also where when people come they will have a comfortable place to sit and to meditate. And so there were many different thoughts that went into this garden. And finally, of course, we want to thank the Snyderman family for their generosity and for helping us to dedicate this holy space. I want to invite everyone up and to unveil this, to unveil the plaque and to place the stones. And I invited, wait, you want to place the stone? And I invited Ralph to say a little word about this place and the family.
Well, actually, can you hear me? I'm not sure this is working. But you invited me to tell a story. So I'm going to say just a little bit more than a word, but I'm going to tell the story, a short story. I love this story. So I ask you to think, as I am talking, what is a cemetery? What does a cemetery mean to you? When I grew up, a cemetery was a place of loss, of remorse. As I've gotten older, and as we heard from Rabbi Sager, a cemetery is a place of many stories, beautiful stories. I'd like to tell you a little story that gives another role for a cemetery. Not necessarily this cemetery, but Jewish cemeteries. And in many ways, why this time is so special for me. Unlike the Silver family that has long roots, significant roots in Durham, I came here as, I look back, a pretty young individual at 25 as an intern directly from Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. I suspect that most of you are not from here. So another aspect of a cemetery to me is home. When people would ask me where you're from, and I've been in Durham more or less for over 40 years, my initial instinct was to say, I'm from Brooklyn. It still sounds like I'm from Brooklyn as I hear myself talk. But it has really come about that this is my home. And then ultimately, this cemetery will be my home. So that becomes very important, very profound for us. But let me tell you, I'll try to make it very short, a story about another very important role for a cemetery. As I said, I grew up in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. My parents were immigrants from the Ukraine, from a small town, little shtetl called Pechera. My father, rather than reading me stories every night, would tell me Geschichte. He would tell me his history almost day by day growing up in Pechera. So it became so real to me. Images of Pechera became so real to me. They were embedded in my mind. In 1918, during the time of the Bolshevik Revolution, there were the pogroms. Armies swept from Poland into the Ukraine, killing Jews. Sometime in early 1918, they came to Pechera, And in front of my mother's eyes, her whole family, she saw her father killed by the Kazakhs. My mother the family never got over that, but my mother always used to tell me how when the pogroms came about, they would go hide in the cemetery. They would hide among the tombstones in the cemetery. Quite frankly, I never understood that. Men in horseback thundering through the town, being in a cemetery, hiding amongst the tombstones, surely they would have been seen. But almost like the Passover story, the son who was not wise enough to ask. I never really asked, how did the cemetery actually protect you? Well, lo and behold, about 5 years ago, I had the opportunity with my wife Renee to visit the Ukraine, visit Kiev, and how could I not go and visit the small little town of Pechera, maybe 150 miles, as my father described it, high above the Bug River, everything as he described. And I was being shown around by a group of people, and we went to various places, things that I saw which I don't have the time to tell you now, and that they saved for the very end seeing the Jewish cemetery. Pechera was high on a hill over the Bug River. There was a steep embankment and then another hill. Lo and behold, I was wearing a suit and dress shoes to honor the place. To get up to the cemetery, I had to climb on my hands and my knees, dressed up in a suit with dress shoes that were falling off to get to the top of the cemetery, where I could see the Hebrew still of the old Jewish cemetery, covered by trees, overgrown with tombstone after tombstone. And as I was going up there, the people told me that were taking us around, horses could never come up this hill. Horses could not come up this hill. So as a place of safety and refuge, they went to the Jewish cemetery. I never would have known it if I had not been there, but it was so powerful to me to make that understanding. So when I was in Pechera, we picked up rocks, stones, and I've been saving these stones. And we talked about bringing the old into the new, which is totally appropriate. With these stones, we will reach back another generation and bring those people who fled the pogroms here as well. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
So I want to invite each person to place a stone either at the entrance or here at this marker or at the obelisk in the memorial garden. And then very carefully we will sing and walk along the path. David, raise your hand. David Clapper, raise your hand. See? Well, that David's right there. So walk along this path very carefully because the straw can be slippery, but we're going to make our way down to the Genizah, where we will inaugurate the Genizah and the cemetery and place our books. Let's sing together.
Nothing you can do with it. Yeah. Bury them. Old palace.
Trying to spot a shade.
You can come forward and place your books into the Genizah.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. over where it's shady, Sam? Why don't you come over where it's shady?
Yeah. She's one of my protectors.
The ground is
It's pretty uneven.
I'll make it. Grab hold of it.
Just make sure there's no poison ivy
Oh, I'm sorry.
This
Abensei menucha nechona tacha kanfei hashchina B'malo kidoshim utorim gezoraki amasidim Ekol nishmo b'kielenu agedosha Kilat betel shizkarnu hayom livracha Ana barachamim astirem b'seter knafech l'olamim V'tzur b'tzurachim et nishmotehem Adonai u'nachalatam v'yanuchu al mishkavam mishalom v'nomar Amen. We will now conclude with the Mourner's Kaddish that we say in memory of all the people who we are here to remember today, to remember the Torah that they taught us, the prayers that they uttered. A lot of the books that are going in here are machzorim. Machzorim that we set aside when we replaced the Machzor with a new Machzor a few years ago. And in these Machzorim, people held them in their hands and cried and poured out their hearts and prayed over and over again, Zochrenu l'chaim, Melech hafetz b'chaim, remember us for life, because God is one who desires life. And so, as we remember the Torah and the Tefillah from these books, we also remember the souls who use them, and we pray that their lives are bound up in the bond of life. We also, I will say, Rhoda, Bob's wife, their father, Louis, has a yortzeit tomorrow. And so I think they went back up to be with Harriet, but I want to say the Kaddish, the mourner's Kaddish, in Louis's memory as well, and for anyone else who has a yortzeit during this time. Please join me with the mourner's Kaddish. When we are finished, please come and help us to fill in this grave, and Rabbi Sager and I will be available to say the memorial prayers for those who would like to visit graves this morning. Please join with me. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba, v'yomad yirach yiruteh v'yamlik malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayeh l'kol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach v'olam l'omei omayim, yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, Yitadar, Yitaleh, Yitalal, Shemedi, Kusha, Riku. Le'ela, Le'ela, Mikol, Birchata, V'shirata, Shushbechata, V'nechamata, Da'amiram, B'ilma, B'imru, Amen. Yehei, Shlama, Baba, Min Shemaya, V'chaim, Aleinu, V'alko Yisrael, B'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, B'imrumav, Yu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu, V'alko Yisrael, V'alko Yisrael, B'imru, Amen. Ya na 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 na
flat shovel works well if you kind of go along like this. flat shovel. This one you can go in the side of the shovel. Okay, and just kind of go into the side and just push it like so.
We're not going back there. I want to try it upside down. Wait, Jason, why do you think that? What? Studies. Why would you think this? Because it's hard to do. Right. Wait, no, guys, we're supposed to go back up there and go. Alright. Just try to like break it up. Adam, you should break it up. Y'all should break it up. Yeah, Doug, just take it. Oh, wait, guys, watch out. Watch out. Doug, here, Adam, why don't you go help him? Like, you guys, Doug, why don't you first get Adam? You can wait down here for a little bit now. With all the big rocks here. Yeah, so I can do it. Spending the rake? Shane, you don't have another rake. Alright. Okay.